So we are here with Sarah and the Safe Word.
Hi. Hello.
Would you please introduce yourselves, even though there's two of you?
Sure. My name is Sarah Rose. I sing in the band.
And I'm Sam, and I play drums in the band.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So in the last year, how would you say that you've changed as a band or as musicians in general?
Sure. Well, we added a lot of members to our band. I mean,
Right.
the band started as a three-piece with just me and Keenan and a bassist, and we released a LP, Strange Doings in the Night, earlier this year. But at the time, even though we had a bunch of those instruments on the record, we hadn't fully committed to bringing them to our live show.
Right.
And the more we decided to play shows, the more we realized we really needed like string instruments and keys. And so that's when we sort of brought in Beth and Courtney and Susie to be in the band.
Right. You have like a very full sound, and you've described it as kind of like cabaret, which I absolutely love because I have a lot of knowledge, with that sort of thing and burlesque dancing.
Yeah.
So that is super cool, and I think just the atmosphere is very cool from a live presence. Yeah,
cabaret was sort of like the punk rock of the 1920s.
Right, right.
So it's sort of like taking it back to like the original like scary futurist
Right,
theater,
So next is, what is one thing you think every new fan should know about Sarah and the Safe Word?
Sam is the sexiest.
Oh.
Yeah.
This is a rule of thumb. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. We're weird. But we're super queer positive. I mean, we try to create an atmosphere at our shows where everyone can feel comfortable being who they are, no matter what gender they are, what sexual orientation they are, race, anything like that. Not a lot of bands really try to cultivate a positive experience where you can really feel comfortable being yourself, and I think that's really important to us.
If you could describe your band in 3 words, what would they be? It can be it can be adjectives, or you can get crazy.
Take it, Sam.
Oh,
how would you describe it, Sam?
Wow.
I just love the OG.
OGs, wow.
I mean, I'm already terrible of like trying to throw like any musical project I've been involved with into like a descriptor of any sort, like genre or anything.
Spooky?
Yeah, I would say spooky is one. I would say eclectic.
Eclectic.
Just with all the different sounds that we tried to capture live, and then everything that was recorded, and everything that we're working on now. Open comes to mind too. Between, I think, just branching off the different sounds, and then also just, I feel like the music can detract everyone from like kind of any different fan base. Right. From people I've shown this to, because I just joined recently, and people I've been sharing music with all of my friends, and like you're into like different things and different cliques in general, and they all love it. So I think it can bring in a lot of different people too.
Okay, so next I said, in the next year, what do you want to accomplish as artists?
We are collectively going to run for president.
Oh, I love it. Make America queer again?
America queer again. It's not a presidential election year, but we're still going to run for president.
At this rate, we have no idea what's going to happen.
You have to defeat Cheeto Puff Man.
Cheeto Puff guy.
Cheeto and Chief.
No, we're gonna release a bunch of new singles and music videos, and we're going on tour a lot more in 2018.
Awesome.
We're going on tour in January and going up the East Coast in the summer. We're gonna be going on pretty much like a nationwide tour.
Okay.
So yeah, we're excited for that.
Yep, definitely, and I think some goals, maybe a Warped.
We'd like to be on Warped Tour.
Yeah, the
we
final
don't know
year.
if we're going to be on Warped Tour
we
again.
have no idea.
But we'd like to be on Warped Tour again. So.
And then I know this is something that I feel like musicians are asked quite a bit, but it is something that is important. I think foundations and past things are important. So your main musical influences growing up. I feel with a lot of artists can be very visual, whether it's the way they dress, the way they sound, or sometimes certain singers or certain bands kind of make you say, like, I want to do that, or I want to live my life that way. Was there anyone that particularly like stood out to you growing up?
Yeah.
I kind of have a long background with that.
Okay.
I've been playing drums for nearly 14 years,
and
I did high school jazz and funk band, and I initially learned drums from a lot of swing and jazz drummers, and so their influences definitely influenced a lot of my playing. And then when it came to personal tastes, I I was fully all like head over heels over Under Oath, and Thrice, and Thursday, Funeral for a Friend. Those were my bands when I was younger, and
Cool.
they still. I can throw them on Spotify,
Right.
throw vinyl on, just still hit me hard. So those are definitely some of my biggest
Awesome.
personal influences.
Yeah, I mean, my mom raised me on like Fleetwood Mac and Elton John. Those were like my first like musical things, and we had just the album Rumors on like repeat in our house for a long time. Then I got into high school and I discovered like Visual K and J-pop and J-rock, and I was super nerdy about that for a while, and like I would like order like J-rock records online and stuff, and like fangirl over them.
Were you ever into, sorry to interrupt, but were you ever into like kind of the more modern Swedish bands that are picking that up? Have you heard about that?
Yeah, there's a huge movement now to sort of like emulate that whole thing
huge in
now.
Sweden,
It's really cool, and I mean, I like some of the stuff that's coming out of there. I think Cinema Bazaar is either from there or Germany. They're cool. They were
you
neat.
know more better than I.
But yeah, it was that, and then I mean, I grew up listening to like Marilyn Manson, Comic Christ, and Mindless Self-Indulgence.
Awesome.
And then, I mean, My Chemical Romance and stuff. And then like I listened to Thursday and Under Oath and all that stuff too. So I have a weird musical background. My family plays in country music bands, so I had like a bluegrass country thing.
Yeah, and I think in like the Louisville Shuffle,
there's
that's
a little bit of that
thing.
Yeah.
My mom thought that was like cool and different. So you know, it's kind of things for everybody.
We can't just shove genres together and don't think about it. And it kind of works, I guess.
Like make a sandwich, be like,
that's what I love.
Cool.
That's what I love most about it. Just all the different elements we can incorporate.
There's no rules. I mean, the thing is with music, like, if you limit yourself to just doing one thing, it's boring. And what so many bands do nowadays is they just want to emulate or like be one genre. That's boring. Like if you have like, it's like painting. Why only paint with like two colors when you could like paint with
you can mix colors even.
Yeah. So
you can use glitter.
we use glitter all the time.
All the time, yes. All right. So, what can fans expect from the band in the next couple of months? I know you filmed a music video recently.
We filmed two music videos. Yeah.
In one day.
We filmed two in one day. It was the longest day ever, and I regret that we did it. I still have, I think, some white paint on my hand from doing it. I was painted like pure white.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So we have two music videos coming.
Awesome.
And then we're gonna probably have another 2 or 3 after that. So,
awesome.
Yeah, I think if we're not dropping a music video every month next year, it's going to be pretty close to every month.
Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I think a lot of bands, or I guess nowadays, music videos are seen as very old school, like saying, oh, come on, it's not the 80s, you don't need all this music and visuals, like MTV is not a thing anymore. But it's like, it really kind of can like immerse you and get you into the songs, and it's just like, it's
We're
fun,
a
it's
visual
expression,
band,
right?
You know, so it's like, I think that we would not be doing the music a good service if we weren't accompanying it with like a good visual aesthetic.
Right. You have to kind of put in time for both, you know? And I feel like some bands only care about how they look and others only care about how they sound, but it's like, you need both if you want to like make a bold statement, you know?
I'm a big fan of treating music with the idea that you're showing up and dressing for your
it's like a role, honestly.
Yeah, there became this whole thing in the 90s where like I think rock bands felt like they, you know, if they just wore jeans and
you're like, I don't have an image, but you're still thinking about what pair of jeans or what pair of sneakers you're putting on, you know?
And I really like in the 50s and 60s when it was like cool for like guys to wear ties and suits, like when they played rock shows, and like I think it's cool to like dress up for a performance. It like shows that you give a fuck about like the show, you know?
And certain stuff is like kind of coming back and kind of being
I love it.
Iconic, and I mean there's a whole kind
rock
of
and roll should be over the top.
Exactly.
I mean, if it's not, then you're not getting your money's worth.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of stuff is coming back, and I think a lot of kids are getting into types of music that they didn't necessarily know was a thing, because there's all this kind of 80s and 70s revival
80s are
happening.
coming back huge right
and
now.
I'm living for that. I love that.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry for making this question.
No, it's okay.
But if you were banned from making music,
oh.
which career would you choose and why?
Oh gosh.
I know it's horrible.
Well, right now when I'm not doing music stuff, I work in LGBTQ advocacy.
Right.
So I work for a nonprofit that does stuff with LGBTQ youth, and
that's awesome.
So I'd be doing that. I mean, I'm passionate about LGBTQ issues and helping people and creating trans equality in different parts of the country. So I would still just be doing that probably.
Right. That's awesome.
I would probably be pursuing that boyhood dream of wanting to be an astronaut.
Yeah.
Selfish
Going to-
asshole.
going to
but, like,
space.
We're going back
wanted
to the
do it.
moon. Did
I
you
know.
hear?
I did
Oh.
hear
Yeah,
about
Sam's
that.
gonna be on the
It's-
moon. That's an
I
exclusive.
would love to do that.
Exclusive. He'll drum on the moon. The first
Oh,
guy to drum on the
We're
moon.
gonna be the first band on the moon, actually.
Wow.
That's
you
actually
imagine?
a Cranberries record
Yes.
too. No, is it a Cranberries record or a Cardigans record? It's a Cardigans record. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
That's true.
90s.
So, do you have any formal education in the music field? I know that before we started, Sam, you were saying that you did like jazz band in high
Yeah,
school?
I did. So I did high school jazz band, funk band.
Awesome.
That was during the fall semesters, and then the spring would be like orchestral
Yeah.
music. So there was a kind of orchestral percussion background in there.
Right.
I had just from various different teachers that had different degrees of music literacy, whether that be theory or just experience being pit musicians or things like
Yeah.
that. I just kind of took everything. I just took bits and pieces from them.
That's awesome.
So I'm not. I guess I wouldn't necessarily be considered like formally trained
Yeah.
in terms of
You
like,
have, like,
a
some
college,
knowledge.
yeah, like a college degree. It's
Yeah.
more of a, I guess maybe, I don't know. That's just kind of the
Yeah.
kind of that blend of the two.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. Like, I feel like I'm the least qualified musician in our
Oh.
band because, like, Susie is a.
You just have a lot of people that are, like professionally playing violin and all this,
Like, Susie's a professional violinist.
It's a lot to compete with. It's
Courtney,
a
our
lot.
viola player, is a music teacher in,
Wow.
in a high school, in a middle school, excuse me. Keenan's got like some formal training. Beth is a music instructor.
Yeah.
And I just showed up one day and started singing.
Yeah.
that's
Well,
all
if
I
it works,
do.
it works,
Vocals is one of the hardest things out there.
Yeah,
so.
I do have a vocal coach,
Yeah.
who is Bradley Walden of Emerosa. So,
Okay.
So he's my vocal teacher, and I studied guitar. I mean, I had like lessons in guitar for a little bit. And I can
Yeah.
play a few different instruments, but I never went to school for it or anything.
Okay. So one thing that fans don't know about Sarah and the Safe Word, music-wise, what would you think that would be?
Oh,
Something
that's a good
somewhat
question.
secret about your music, maybe
That's
lyrics or production
good
or
question.
something.
Oh boy.
Well, let me think. So, I think a lot of people would be surprised to know that we sort of write in teams a lot of the time.
Okay.
Like, it's very rare for us to write as like a full 7-piece. Usually, like 2 or 3 of us
Right.
will write something together,
Yeah.
and then we'll take it to the rest of the band and flesh it out.
Right.
'Cause it's kind of chaotic to try to write with 7 people.
Right.
It's-
I imagine
And
it would be.
7 people's working schedules and things like
Yeah.
that.
Right.
So-
7 ideas,
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like we work in little pockets, and then we
Okay.
all come together and flesh it out.
And I know Sarah and Keenan, our guitarist, y'all have been working together for years.
Keenan and
years.
I,
Y'all
Okay.
are like a songwriting powerhouse.
Keenan
in
and
my
I have known
opinion.
each other for about 10 years now.
Okay,
Yeah,
did you go to high school together?
No, we just we both played in local bands
Okay.
that weren't this band, and then we just knew of each other through the scene. And when both of our bands broke up, we're like, we should do something together. Fuck
Yeah.
it. So, yeah.
All right. So, what is your favorite and least favorite thing about the Atlanta music scene?
Sam, what's your least favorite thing about Atlanta music?
Oh my goodness
Let's
gracious.
sit talk. No, I'm just kidding.
Let's yell about our feelings.
I definitely can't pick one thing. There's
Right.
definitely
There's so many things.
There's so many.
No, we love Atlanta.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
do. Yeah,
That's-
we're huge fans.
It's a very cool music scene, definitely.
Yeah, for me, which I think it's kind of a plight in a lot of different cities too, is that I feel like a lot of the different scenes are pretty cliquish.
Right.
Like if
Yeah.
you go and play a house show, and like that's kind of in one genre subset, you'll see pretty much the exact same people at every show, every
Yeah.
time.
Atlanta's more inclusive, you think? Like more open?
I wish it.
No, I mean, I wish it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wish it was
too.
more.
Yeah.
And I think too, a lot of it is. I mean, there's definitely a problem with like available venues and
Right.
things like that sometimes as well. But I think probably the biggest things are clickiness and.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of try not to completely shit talk some people.
No. I think the city. Me and Keenan have talked about this before.
Yeah.
Music exists in Atlanta in spite of the city, not because of
Yeah.
it. the city itself, and I'm not talking about the musicians or the artists here, but the city really does not appreciate the artistic history of what makes Atlanta art, which is why you see venues like the Masquerade getting kicked out of a venue that they've been, a building that they've been in
for years,
for 30 years, that Nirvana played at, that the Foo Fighters played at.
Exactly.
I mean, and getting moved to somewhere where they're out of sight for people. I mean, in any other, I wouldn't say any other city, but in a lot of other cities, a place like the Masquerade would be considered sacred and important to the cultural identity of the city.
So, like a little CBGB in Atlanta, you know?
And that's, and people, and going off that thing with the Masquerade, I mean, it's people like my parents and people that have been here for like 10, 20 plus years, they all know about the Masquerade.
Right, and it's like you're gonna miss it, you know?
Everybody's been to the Masquerade once.
And the new Masquerade's cool, but it's a shame that the city did that to that. And you know, I was thinking about this the other day too. Another thing is that it's very difficult if you're a queer artist. I don't know if this is exclusive to Atlanta, but it seems like queer musicians are often very relegated to the DIY space. So it's very much like the house shows, sort of the indie rock
Not
scene.
as much like exposure if you're all, you know, bunch of
and we're sort of in an awkward
people.
position because we write very poppy music, and we love the DIY scene. There's amazing musicians there, but we don't always fit into that community because we tend to be a little bit more like pop radio and the way we write our music.
You know, some metalcore band in Atlanta, you know, it's not gonna kind of mix well.
Yeah, there's not a lot of places where a band like ours with openly queer people that don't just want to exist in the DIY space can really go and play. I think it's sort of not a place that a lot of people have tried to break through on. And
definitely.
We felt the pushback a little bit. So,
and it's and definitely being able to play freely. Like there's that extra bit of thought about like bands we can match with and who would be open to things and stuff like that.
And kind of to go, this is really weird. My next question is just going off what you said. So, which bigger bands would you like to open for the most, do you think?
Oh, we'd love to open for Creeper.
Oh my God, yeah, I'd love that.
Creeper. I mean, we'd love to open for Motionless and White again. We played with
that was amazing.
That was great. It was a great show.
I'm trying to think. I mean, really big bands. I'd love to open for Panic at the Disco.
Yeah.
That would be a cool show.
Oh, yeah. If MCR ever came back, that's a whole separate subject.
Any of those like spooky bands, I'd love to.
Definitely.
Share a stage with. Those would be cool.
So, so you just shot 2 music videos. So one was pirate themed.
That's the rumor.
Okay, that's the rumor.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes.
And then we have another surprise to look forward to. So that's definitely going to be cool to you know, keep in mind and wait for. What is the craziest thing, do you believe, that has ever happened to you on tour, at shows, at gigs? There has to be something.
Oh man, there's so many. Okay, what's the craziest thing that's ever happened?
Well, I can think directly with tour.
With tour, there's so many.
This past tour.
The past tour we were just on.
The past tour was pretty crazy with 2 flat tires.
We got 2 flat tires.
In a matter of like 3 days.
Yeah, 2 flat tires in 3 days. We were stranded in Columbus, Ohio overnight to get our tire fixed.
That was fun.
So that was a thing. I had the craziest pizza I've ever had in my life in Detroit. Follow me on this. It was Peaches. Peaches.
Oh wow.
It was called Peaches! At the pizza, which I'm gonna try it. It was peaches, cookie butter, mozzarella.
But then there was cookie butter the brown sauce that was on top of it?
And then there was like gorgonzola cheese.
Yes.
And it sounds nasty, but it was fucking good. It was like insane.
It was like, why am I eating this?
It was the best because it came in like 6 slices, and the first slice she had, she's like,
I'm not feeling this.
She was like, I'm not feeling this at all. And then she thought about it for a bit, then came around to the second one, and was like, okay. I can give this a try. Third one was in love with it.
Yeah.
It was one of the most hilarious transitions for a pizza.
Yeah, it really was.
I love that.
And then we played like this cool anarchist commune in Detroit. That was neat. Yeah. So
Detroit was a really cool city.
Detroit is awesome.
I've never been, but it sounds like you guys had a lot of fun there.
Detroit's probably like one of my favorite places out of town we've ever played.
Yeah, I wish we had more time to explore. That was
So I noticed that Sarah and I were talking about this before you came. I'm sorry.
No problem.
But so I noticed that when you guys opened up for Motionless and White back in October, you dealt with hecklers exceptionally well. What's the key to all that confidence, and is it sometimes hard to face criticism, especially being, an all LGBT band?
Yeah, I mean, it can be. We're so used to it at this point. Unfortunately, we're all so used to it at this point. I mean, we've been in this band now for 2 years, and also I work in LGBTQ advocacy, so my life is basically deflecting assholes from saying dumb shit.
Right.
But the reality is, I mean, look, after we played the Motionless in White show, we had a bunch of kids come up to us who really liked the show, who said a lot of really nice things to us. And we had maybe like 3 guys in the crowd that were saying dumb shit, and like 2 people on our Instagram versus like 50 that loved us.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So my thing is this, like, I just feel sad for those people. It's not like I'm pissed off. I just think it's really sad if you're going to spend $30 to come to a show and then just sit in the crowd and be miserable and mad at something.
Right.
Like, what a sad.
Just trying to pick fights too.
Yeah, like if I go to a show, I want to have fun. Like, it blew my mind. I'm like, you have to hate an opening band so much. Like, you have to be such a miserable person that 2 days, like literally 2 days after our show, we had this guy on our Instagram being like, "You guys sucked at the Motionless in White show." I'm like, dude, we're like an opening band. Man. Like,
do you care so much that you're still thinking about this
How
2 days
bored
after
are
the
you?
gig,
And the thing is, when someone gets that pissed off at that, it's not even that they don't like you. It's like
self-esteem issues.
It's seeing someone.
That's what I've noticed. Being openly queer, it's normally self-esteem
They're
issues.
dealing with something inside themselves, and you spark that in them, and their reaction is to try to make you feel bad.
Like be like a junkyard dog, honestly, or like those worms on SpongeBob. It's
like
bad.
No, it's totally like that. So I mean, I just feel bad for people like that. Because, I mean, I have a blast doing what I do.
Exactly, and it's like that's all that matters. Like I feel like for me, kind of, emerging with whether it's interviews, making videos, or live streaming. Just being out there in general can be a little bit scary, like putting art out there.
When you put yourself out there, I mean, you're subject to a lot of people, but you know what? You're putting yourself out there and they're not.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
And it's like,
you're doing it.
For me at least, and I think for a lot of young people, it's like, to grow to be as comfortable as you are right now, even if you feel like you're only maybe 3/4 halfway there, is like, it's still better from where you started,
And I struggle, I mean, I would be lying if I said that, like, sometimes, like, people's shit didn't bother me, or, like, that I was
it happens to everyone.
Scared going up on stage sometimes. But I hope that the kids that were in the audience who may have been queer look at someone like myself who's up there dealing with hecklers and dealing with bullshit, can be inspired that if I can do it, they can do it.
Exactly. And I think that for a lot of kids, if you have any musical idols or just people that you look up to as a kid, it's like, he did this, I can do this, like...
Yeah, we need more queer people in music.
Exactly.
So I hope that this...
And it's scary out there, because it's like, you already have people saying in your everyday life, music aside, people just being jerks. But, it's a learning process.
Yep.
So, what advice would you give to younger LGBT people who are shy about singing, maybe playing instruments or forming their own band?
Sure. I mean, well, first I would say that, like, the music community needs your voice.
Right.
There aren't, like I was saying, there aren't a lot of queer voices in music right now. There are some, and there certainly is like a thriving LGBTQ music scene, but there needs to be more queer artists that are unapologetically out there and doing themselves.
Right.
And I get that it's super difficult to be out there and do things. I mean, I wouldn't feel ashamed of yourself if you feel scared to get on stage, or if you feel
that's
self-conscious.
That's a normal thing for any musician, right?
I do it too.
I was walking down for that Motionless in White show. It's even just backstage,
it's very
hands just shaking.
And I mean, I never know how people are gonna react to me, so I sort of just put on a different persona and try to go for it. But
it's kind of like live through your art. If you're kind of too scared to face, you're like, all right, I'm performing. This is a show, I can let go.
Yeah.
If you have a microphone, you're up on stage in front of people, you're already doing.
You already have some sort of power. You're like, I have the microphone.
You just gotta own it. That's the thing. If you own that you're supposed to be up there, you got it.
And that's across all the different instruments on there. If you go up and you play with purpose and confidence, and even if you're just scared out of your mind, you put on that persona, you're just gonna own it.
I've been scared shitless at a few shows, and like I've just had to pretend like I'm owning it.
Yep.
Right.
And it works,
You just have to get in that headspace, like, it's okay, I got this.
If the crowd thinks that you're owning it,
and then you're like, okay, they don't know.
they're with you like the whole time.
Yeah.
So.
and even from like a drummer perspective of like, if you think like I've like played the shows that I'm just completely scared shitless about.
Yeah.
And just you own it, and you know you make mistakes, and mistakes are going to happen. People are still going to come up and say,
"Wow,
that was
show.
That was such a great show. That was amazing."
Right.
And I think one of the things I've been learning recently is like, instead of that first default answer of like, "Oh no, I was messed up this part,"
right.
blah blah blah.
It's like, it wasn't
you eventually,
good,
you know you're not perfect.
Right. You accept the
you start to learn to
compliments,
accept. You learn to accept the compliments.
That's great. And then final question.
Okay.
What are you most excited for regarding the future of a band? It can be anything, you know?
Yeah.
It can get abstract here.
Oh, of course. Well,
I'm excited, that I'm in the band. I'm still
Good job, Sam.
I'm just stoked I'm in the band. I was in music videos and all this stuff. But I'm really excited about the music we're putting out.
Yeah, I'm excited too,
I'm
honestly.
so excited about it. I think that the new stuff we're putting out, if you liked our last full length, it's like that full length, but on like steroids. It's
that
so
blew
good.
me away, honestly.
Thanks.
I remember, for me at least, every year for bands on Warped Tour, I pay a lot of attention to the set list, and I pay attention to anything that sticks out, even if they're not playing at my date, because it's like discovering music is so cathartic and amazing, and I was like, oh, we're from Atlanta, represent, and I was like, oh my god, just hearing.
Oh yeah.
Anything off of Strange Doings in the Night and previous stuff.
I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, there's all these great songs.
The new stuff it takes where we were starting in Strange Doings in the Night and it really expands.
Right.
I mean, now we're writing.
You know who you are, kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, we're writing now with the awareness of what's in our band and how to utilize the strings and the keys. And, I mean, we have a music video. The first one's dropping in a few weeks, and
That's great.
we're gonna hear where we're going, and it's just I'm so excited for
That's
it. I'm excited to
amazing.
tour more too. I'm excited to see more places and get out there. So.
All right.
Definitely.
Well, thank you guys so much for taking the time to sit.
Thank you.
Thank you for hanging out with us.
Thank you.